Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining us from. Thanks for taking the time to step in here into the virtual room and help us spread the word on what we think is probably the best combination of tools out there from a quality perspective, and listening to some recent features that Katalon announced in partnership with Xray to integrate our two tools in the Jira ecosystem. Been a long day already. In the Jira ecosystem to really kind of fast track your capabilities for unifying or at least creating visibility and transparency across both sets of common testing efforts, your manual ability, your planning ability, and your execution and automation ability over on the other side. So today, joining me today, my name is Armando Wershing. I am Director of Product Marketing for Katalon. Somewhere over here on my right, or depending on where your floating video is, you'll have Cristiano Cunha from Xray. Cristiano, you want to say a quick hello?
Yeah, hello everyone. Glad to be here.
And also from Katalon, my peer and fellow partner in crime, An Shu, the product manager for the area that's developing our integration with Xray. An?
Yeah, hi everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody again for taking the time. Let's get started. So I'll start with what some of you may or may not be familiar with, which is Katalon. Right? Katalon is a comprehensive quality platform with modern capabilities, including native AI augmentation and all the tools you will need to be able to deliver automation at scale. So that includes the capability to author. Many of you may be familiar with Katalon Studio, our original tool to author tests and create automations with capabilities like self-healing scripts, smart weight, and other smart capabilities that lower the maintenance side so you can build more scripts, run more scripts, more automations, and spend less time maintaining them. But that's not all that you have to do within an automation platform. You have to be able to organize and manage those scripts. So we integrate directly through the platform into tools such as Git to help perform that change management capability that's critical when you're creating automations, whether that's software capabilities that are automating work business or the automations that test those things. Beyond that, the platform also supports execution planning, the ability to do parallel executions, both locally on your own systems or remotely through cloud-based services such as our Test Cloud tools. It also enables integration into CI/CD pipelines so that your delivery pipelines, your software delivery pipelines, your value streams, if you're using the software, the DevOps terms, can easily integrate and use our capabilities from Katalon just as easily as you use them from your planning perspective and your manual testing execution efforts through Xray on Jira. Once you get past execution, there is a lot of data, right? Both from a manual testing perspective and also when you start automation, there's a lot of data to feed through. So we have within the platform itself, what used to be called TestOps, that platform to analyze the data, collate all the information, automatically gather it, and present it in dense, rich dashboards and reports that allow you to act on this intelligently. So being able to quickly identify root cause analysis for issues with test execution, the ability to look at gap or test impact analysis for your releases, right? What capabilities are being tested, what maybe won't be tested when you go out there, release readiness, right? And requirements tracing. So you have at a glance, what parts of your requirements for this release are actually being tested. And then planning. And that's where today we really are going to dive into is the ability to integrate your planning, integrate that visibility and collaboration across your quality efforts, both manual and automated, where we have integrations into wonderful tools, especially Xray, probably one of the best tools out there from a quality planning perspective and a manual testing management perspective. We want to make sure that those folks that are using, those teams that are using the Jira ecosystem have the best of both worlds. And that's what we'll be talking about today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cristiano a little bit to talk about Xray.
Thank you. So yeah, the other tool we're going to talk today is Xray. It's actually a test management tool that lives within Jira and seamlessly integrates with it. So Xray is actually the leading quality assurance and test management application for Jira. We have more than 5,000 customers worldwide, and we are present in more than 70 countries, including 137 of the Global 500. Xray will allow you to improve the quality of your systems through effective and efficient testing that runs through the entire software development lifecycle. We have also more than 100 million monthly test cases being used by our 4.5 million users. Well, I mean, those numbers speak for themselves. But Xray is a management tool that will allow you to leverage both manual and automated tests and will provide powerful reports to ensure full requirement coverage. Xray will actually act as a central source of truth for everything that's happening in your project. It will provide valuable information for your team in the same place where they used to work on their project on a daily basis. That is actually Jira. So in a nutshell, this is Xray, but we will go into see in more detail on the demonstration, more of the capabilities of Xray and the integration with Katalon.
Awesome. Thank you, Cristiano. So let's start with a poll. You'll be seeing a poll pop up on your Zoom chat that we'd like you to answer with a couple of quick questions. And those questions should pop up here for me as well in a second. But while that poll is being launched and while we're waiting for you to answer those questions, let me talk a little bit about interactions with us today during the demo and during the presentation. You'll note that for those who are savvy with Zoom, there's two areas. There's a chat and then there's a Q&A. If you're going to ask questions, if you want a specific question or answered, or have us cover something that maybe we mentioned but didn't dive into, please post those in the Q&A. It gives us the ability to track and make sure that we've answered everybody's questions a little bit more smoothly than just the scrolling chat. In chat, feel free to mention if there's an issue with the transmissions, with the video, with the audio, and we'll try and resolve those as best we can. But it is the internet and Zoom, and you never know what can happen at that point. But that's just a call out there. I think I have to launch the poll, or if it's already been run.
Well, I managed to access it if I click on the polls options on the bottom of the menu.
Yeah, it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
So yeah, if you click on polls.
Yeah, let me do it for you. Just relaunch it.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so there's three quick questions, and they're just based, where do you spend, what software teams are using to test? How are you, the majority of your testing, are you doing both? If you can jump in there real quick, gives us a scale or an understanding of what you guys are doing mostly now. How many tools you're using in the testing efforts. And here, we're definitely asking a little bit more globally, right? A broader discussion of including your management tools, including your, if it's different tools you're using to create or manage your manual testing versus your automated testing. If you're using different tools to execute. So you may be using a framework to create your automated tools, but you're just using Jenkins. We're not asking you to name them. Just off the top of your head, think of all the things you might be using to execute the QA portion of your software pipeline. And then lastly, how much time do you spend creating reports, right? I'm old. I hate to say this, but I'm coming to terms with it right now. But when I started, the better part of QA was half the time was just collating information into a spreadsheet. And then using scripts, bash shell scripts and such to generate XML that can be pulled slightly easier into spreadsheets. So how much time are you independently, right? Or if you want to use for the team, but we're thinking about each individual person because you all have different roles, how much time you're spending generating reports on your quality or testing activities, depending on how you refer to them. All right, so we're going to give this just another minute. So we have a full 2 minutes to answer questions. And again, if you click on your poll down there, you'll make sure you're open and you're able to answer those questions. I mean, Cristiano, this is like the core of having Xray, right? There's only so much that Jira gives you visibility into cleanly. And then when you start getting into QA, there's so many iterations of activities beyond what normal development happens in that cycle that it just needs a different way to view it. And of course, those capabilities with Xray are huge.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you're using manual testing for the majority of your validations, you will need, like you're saying, the spreadsheets. And we know how that goes. Well, everyone has one copy of the spreadsheet on their machine. And then, well, to gather all of that information is hard. No versions whatsoever. So that's hard. Even when we evolved and go into the DevOps effort and into pipelines, we have like a glance or a small version of everything that's happening on a project, because on the pipeline, we see basically the results of the automation testing, automation checks, but we are missing the requirements, we are missing the manual tests. So there's not really a way, or until now, and we're going to see it, to have a central place where we gather all of that information. And having all of that information in one place, more than just saving time, will allow you to redraw some conclusions. But I'm jumping the gun, so I'm going to be quiet for a while now.
We're just giving them a little preview. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now, and you should be able to see all the results. So let's go through them real quick. I mean, obviously, this was expected to the first question. We know that we are an automation testing company. We still use manual testing, right? Ad hoc testing, some of the newer interactions that aren't automated, some of the older interactions that never got around to being automated. There's always some sort of manual testing. The planned stuff is way better, right? Because you know what to expect, and it's repeatable. Not quite as repeatable as automated testing, but the goal is to get there, right? And also planning so that the changes that are coming down the pipeline, having that integration upstream to the requirements being created, is incredibly valuable. So manual automated testing, as we expected. Second one, how many tools are you using? We've got 2, we've got 3. I mean, we've got more than 15%. Not necessarily an error margin, definitely a viable number that are using, 4 or more tools, separate tools to execute on their quality plans, right? And their quality pipelines. And then
let me chime in. Can everyone see the results? I think you guys can now, right? Yes. All right. Perfect.
Let me bring this over here, and maybe you guys can see my reports now. I know Zoom will show my screen. Nope, it's not sharing it because it's a Zoom window. But lastly, I'll cover this as well. 0 to 1 hours a week, 17% of you. 1 to 3 hours every week, almost half, 43% of everybody here is spending almost 3 hours of their work week creating reports for testing. And lastly, we got 2 more. A quarter of you are spending 3 to 5 hours creating reports, and more than 5 hours creating reports for over 15% of all of you. That's a lot of time over the course of a year spent creating reports, right? So when we talk about reports, the reports are incredibly valuable, and we tend to focus a lot, in particular, the value of the decisions that can be made off the report, but the value of the time saved creating all those reports is huge when you add that up across teams over the course of a year.
And I don't know if they are including the time that they are asked about the report and interruptions about it, because the availability of the report itself is also important. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody for taking part in the poll. We're going to have one more poll at the end, but it's going to be just kind of to help you provide us feedback for future reviews, future webinars. Let's move on to the rest of the webinar. Challenges to accelerate testing. There's a lot, right? Forget the internal challenges. Every company's a little bit different, how your teams and the dichotomy of teams and how things work. But just the challenges that come in from an automation perspective, right? So lagging behind the speed of development. The development is king often in funding. They get all the cool tools. They get all the automation capabilities. They get all the cool CI/CD pipeline tools. And then kind of as an afterthought, we start plugging in the testing, right? The testing starts happening from developers doing their testing on their own things, which 8 times out of 10, developers are not good testers. Developers are great at applying logical solutions to formative actions, right? But testing your own things, it's just human nature that you're going to have a confirmation bias, right? When you're going in there and trying to test your own things, you're going to test them the way you expect them to be used. QA folks, That's the glory of the QA folks, is that they can go out there and break anything. That's their job. Think about it differently. Figure out how is it going to work, and how it may be used in a different way, and look for the things that should be improved, whether that's tiny bugs because the text didn't quite read out display right, or maybe major bugs where functionality is hidden behind objects. So things like that. The challenges, especially when you have limited automation, is how do you make the time to create the automations to have more time to do and run and manage your planning, or create more tests later on, or plan better for testing. And then just the lack of enterprise-wide real-time insight. We just talked about it, all the time spent creating reports to really understand the impact of all of the testing efforts, right? The whole plan. How are you impacting the quality of what's going out there so that you can have not just a quality release, but continuous quality through the lifetime of the services, the software, the platform, the e-commerce, whatever you're releasing. And again, you'll see it throughout. Getting faster, keeping up with the development teams on release cycles, testing more, testing thoroughly, testing with visibility. It's just one of many of the challenges that are going out there that you have to deal with. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the other challenges from just a management perspective.
Yeah, this other set of challenges that you may have on your project and products is exactly the area when Xray will be more valuable, this test management. So as we have seen on the pool questions, the ability to manage tests efficiently is a must nowadays. So ask yourself, are you using the right tool that will allow you to manage your tests, but also that will bring visibility over the entire team of those testing areas? And of course, one of the areas you will need to manage is test evolution, because nowadays you need to track the automation investments that your team is doing. So is your tool also helping you do that, and not going the route of adding one more item that I will need to process manually into that report that I'm generating manually? And ask yourself, how are you supporting both manual and automated validations on the same management tool with powerful integration with major frameworks that are out there? You need to have clear visibility of everything that's happening on your product or project, but also to assist you in the evolution at your own pace. And this is also important because each team is different, and having a solution or a set of tools that will adjust to your team and to allow them to grow with the tool, or the tool to grow with the team, is also important. So customization is important. Another challenge is, how do you have a clear view of the release state of the product? And remind you that the release state is not only requirements or not only automation. It's the requirements, the tests, either they are manual or automated, and the execution results of those tests. Because if you don't have that information, you're probably wasting that time gathering that information together, because we need it to make valuable decisions. And finally, one of the biggest challenges we have seen out there is the immense effort to have meaningful reporting. So again, how many tools do you consult to have a test report? And if you are using pipeline, do you need to go to see the pipelines, to see the automation execution, and then go to the spreadsheet to know how the manual tests are going? Or worse, use different information from different spreadsheets in order for you to understand the overall evolution of your tests. So if you're suffering from one or several of these symptoms, let's see how we can help.
Thanks, Cristiano. So let's talk about the solution. We're going to break this down into two really quick parts, and then we're going to show you how it looks at the end. Number one, how easy is it to set up? 4 steps, right? You set up Xray and Xray. Within Katalon, you go and configure the integration with Xray. That has an option to enable Xray. So if you know you're using Xray, you enable that. You connect the two. Once that integration is there and connected, you'll get a confirmation that, yep, Katalon and Xray and Xray are talking. You'll link a project with Katalon into a project with Xray, right? And that way those two will start synchronizing, and you'll have visibility into those. Then you will link either test cases, right, with Xray tests. So Katalon, our test case is our unit test run execution, or and Xray, of course, is your Xray test in Xray. Or you can do an Xray test schedule, a Katalon test schedule, which is kind of our execution of a set of tests with an Xray test plan. And once you've got those three things done, then you've got the option of individually pushing automated test results from Katalon up to Xray, or telling Katalon to do it automatically with every test run. Different choices for different goals. So with that said, the next thing is, what do you get out of it? So let's turn it over to Cristiano.
Yeah, so great introduction from Katalon and Xray perspective, but visually how it looks like, it's actually what usually happens is the teams define manual test cases in Xray. So the first step will be to have a manual test case in Xray. And then eventually on the course of their evolution, they will have to automate the test case. So usually what happens is they go to Katalon and they create a test automation for it. And Katalon TestOps will allow you to link that test in Katalon into the test in Xray. And once you have done that and the automation is defined, you can now execute those tests and schedule a test run from Katalon TestOps to execute those tests. And the way this integration is done is each test run in Katalon TestOps will create a test execution in Xray. So once you have executed it in a test run on TestOps, you will be pushing those results to Xray. And once you have those results pushed in Xray, linked to the test case that were defined at the beginning, you will be able to build reports for manual and automated test cases together in Xray, and having that visibility provided for manual and automated altogether. So now that we have the overview done, yeah, we will probably go a little bit.
Oh, yes, we'll go into,
Sorry.
I forgot. There we go. We have one more slide. My bad.
Yeah, the last one is just a little bit more centralizing Xray. So for Xray, what we have is we believe that visibility is key to foster collaboration and efficiency, and to enable your team to take advantage of the information we are making available on a central source of information. You'll have information about requirements, tests, and their results, no matter if they are manual or automated. And you will have that visibility right on the requirement page. So that's really valuable for anyone that is interacting with those requirements. And once everyone in the team is aware of the requirements coverage, knowing not only if there are some tests covering the requirements, but also what are the status of their executions, will allow you to take decisions and help each other. Because we know that if testing is lagging behind, development may chip in voluntarily and proactively and help testers, and vice versa. So like I said earlier, having this information centralized in one place will allow your team to withdraw meaningful information, and Xray will help you with that, making available out of the box a set of reports, like you can see the one on the right, and we will see more details on this on the demonstration we will do.
Thank you. So the next step is going to be the demo. And with that, we're going to turn it over to An, the product manager from Katalon. An, I turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Armando. Yes, so what I'm going to show you is essentially how we set up the integration, how the basic functionality is going to work, and what kind of features you can expect to see. Right, so here you can see a Jira board where we have a story for a sprint. This story is going to be about searching for user ID, and we have Xray test case ready-made for this. Everything is empty. We haven't run any test. We have no result here. So let's go to Katalon to set up the integration. All right, so you would just go to configuration, obviously integration, and then you would select Jira, Xray, which you would have to set up together, both Jira and Xray. Here, just input the credentials, API keys, client ID, secrets, and click test connection, choose the Jira project you want to link to, and then save it. So this is all you need to do to actually start using the integration. Is pretty straightforward. Now, all right, so in Katalon, we also have prepared the test corresponding to the test in Xray. And here you can see I simply can search for a test in Xray to link it. And after linking it, when I want to go to execution, I would go to this test suite that I have created on Katalon, where you can see we have 3 different test cases where you can just take this test suite and then go to schedule a test run, set up a normal Katalon test run. As some of the Katalon users here may know, what I'm doing right here is just putting in the environment of Windows Chrome and then go to advanced setting. Here you can see an Xray push mechanism option where you have different options to push. For now, let's say we use manual push only, and let's run it. So what this means is, even after the test run has completed, the result will not be pushed to Xray automatically. You will have to do so manually, just in case you don't want it to happen without your knowing. And as you can see here, the test run has completed. We have 2 passed test results and 1 failed test results. There's no linked Xray test execution yet because we haven't done so. So let's quickly review the failed test result to see what we can do with it. As a QA, you might want to say like, oh, okay, this thing is not working correctly. What I want to do now is make a defect on Jira. So you can do so from Katalon, open up the defect functionality in Katalon, and it will open a nice window for you to go to Jira and submit a bug there. So I'm going to do that right now to ensure that we can keep track of it. All right. So let's put in a name here, cannot validate appointment UI. Submit it, and that's it. Now you can go back to Katalon, and then you can repeat the step of like searching for the bug here, and then you can select it to link it to this test run. So now, all right, so now we have a test run with a linked defect. What you may want to do next is to push it to Xray to keep track of the execution and the relationship between it and the test. We put in the release version 1.2, click submit, and yep, that's it. So that's how you do the most basic push of test result to Xray. Now, if you go back to the summary of the test run, you will see that we have successfully linked the Xray test execution to this test run here. And when you open it up, you will be able to see all the necessary information for you to understand the execution, the link to the Katalon test run, the different test cases, the environments, statuses, durations, and the link to the specific test result. And you can also see that the fixed version that we have selected is denoted correctly here. All right. And there you can also see that the defect we just created and linked on Katalon has been linked here in Jira and Xray, so that you can correctly keep track of everything throughout the workflow. You can see that the test results have been reflected to passed, unfailed, and all the different test cases and their runs show up here under the Xray test execution. All right, so now on a more macro level, let's say you want to test for a release. You can check for the story. You can see that, okay, this story is running okay or not. Here you can see it's not okay. But if you want a bigger view of, okay, how's my release going, then you may want to create a Xray test plan. And we haven't shown you how to do that yet. So that's why you don't see any test results showing up here in the Xray test plan. As you can see, everything is just to do. There's no status for the test cases. All right. So let's go and do that. Let's go and link a test plan from Xray to Katalon. And when doing so, I will also show you the automatic push mechanism that we have built from Katalon test runs to Xray. Now let's go back to execution. We go to scheduling a test run. And yeah, let's just make a new execution here, give it a name, select some environment for it, and go to the advanced setting like before to configure the connection to Xray. All right, here I can just search for the test plan. And when I do so, when I link it, every single run of this schedule will be linked to that test plan. So you can make sure you do not miss anything. And you can also select the push and all run mechanism to make sure that every single run of this test will be pushed to Xray. Okay, so now that we have executed the test, you can see the results are there, and the linked Xray test execution is already filled out. We already have an execution created on Xray for this test run. So we don't really need to push to Xray manually anymore. You can still do it if you want to. You can still do it if there's any change in the test run that you want to validate. But yes, right now you can simply go back to Xray. You can take a look at, for example, the story. You can see that the test result of the story is also kept as expected. And in addition, we have the results reported under the test plan on Xray. So this will really help you to monitor the releases, your sprints, your stories, etc., end to end, and we try to make the visibility as good as possible between the integrations. All right, so what I want to show you next is what information is going to be pushed from Katalon to Xray when you have executed a automation test in Katalon. As you can see on this screen, this is a test result on Xray. We have the status, we have the timing, we have the fixed version of Jira, we have the test environments that are used on Katalon, so Test Cloud, Linux, Chrome, all that. And here you can actually see that we have also pushed attachments like screenshots during the test run to Xray for your convenience. And of course, we also included a link back to the Katalon test result if you want to view more details about the automated test execution. And alongside that, all the basic information about test details, description, issue links, they still remain the same. We ensure that you have the best connectedness in the workflow. And let's actually check out what the test result on Katalon can do for you at this stage. So you may want to go here to see, okay, what exactly went wrong with my automation? You will see the error message, a summary, right? You can see the attachment of the step at which the automation failed. And you can see the specific error message. You can also see the whole execution logs, just to make sure that you understand completely what's going on in this execution and you can effectively troubleshoot it. And when you look at this panel, we also provide features like categorizing the failure reason. I'm selecting an automation bug here, for example. And that will allow me to review similar failures throughout my test library. So if I go to this tab, as you can see, I can relate this failure of the test run to different test runs in the past. And we also provide a more advanced high-level analysis of, okay, what are the different failures in your test right now? Automation, application, or whatever else. You can easily see what's taking up the most of the failures and what the general exceptions are going to be, the top results, or the top reasons why the test is failing. So this will help you troubleshoot and improve the automation effort. And let's say as a manager, you may wonder, okay, I want to know how my release is going now. You can do so on Katalon, sure. You can go to releases, you can see that it's not ready because we failed like 3 tests out of 10, right? And when you go into the detail of the release, you can, when you go into the detail of the release, you can see the specific test cases, the test runs that have failed here, so that you can easily go fix them or submit bug reports, etc. You can see the different environments and the corresponding failure rates here. So making sure that you understand why, where, how my tests have failed on Katalon. All right, so Katalon provides automation capabilities for your tests. Katalon would help you automate whatever you need to automate. And then it provides a connection back to Xray, where you can do a lot of manual test management, where you can connect the legacy repository or your ongoing repository to what you are working on right now. Let's say now, if you want to go back and see, okay, how is my testing effort going, including both manual and automation testing, then we can take advantage of a lot of features that Xray also provide to synthesize the different data and information that have been provided by both Katalon and Xray. So now I'm going to hand over to Cristiano. He's going to talk to you about coverage reports and more features that Xray can help you with at this stage.
Thanks, Han. So yeah, just before going into the report itself, I just want to highlight how well this information is laid out, the way this integration is done, because we have ways to jump from one tool to another in a seamless way with the links that I just added here. So we have all the information needed. So we have information of the execution overall in Xray, and if you need more details, you can jump right into Katalon and go and drill down whatever happened. And that's visibility is really important to have on the side of Xray that Katalon is just providing. But I'm here to talk about reports. So to access reports, you can go on the drop-down menu and you will see all of the options that we have for reports out of the box. We are going to choose the coverage report to have a deeper look, but there are a lot of other reports available. So when you click test coverage, you will see that now we will have, it will be possible to actually, let me just generate a report to have an overview of everything that's happening regarding test coverage of the requirements. So how are tests covering the requirements and the overall status of their execution? In a glimpse of an eye, you can see the overall requirement coverage of how many have or not being covered by tests. In this case, we have all of the records grouped by priority. I'm using that just to view, but we can have a lot of other ways of grouping this information. And when needed, you have the ability to drill down on issues that you may need. Of course, you can also use different filters like environments, versions, or test plans for you to filter out the information that is more valuable for your team. So when you need, you have the ability to drill down. So each one of these little progress bars are actually clickable. So you can, whenever you need, click on any of these statuses and see what are the requirements that are in that status and what do that mean. In this case, I'm going to click on this first one, that is the blue one, that is going to show me what is the requirement that doesn't have any tests covering it. So it's on uncovered state. And doing so on any other of the other statuses will allow you to drill down and understand what are the requirements and what are the tests that are associated to them and which one are failed or passed, allowing you to continue to drill down until you reach whatever you need to have that information. So once again, everything that's happening is gathered in this report. The second one I'm going to show you is traceability. So traceability is a report that will allow you to understand all the connections between all of the issues. So where we can visually look on the connection between issues, each issue, we will easily understand what are the requirements that are there with overall status of it, understand how they are linked to the tests, and how are the test runs linked to eventually a defect. And if you don't want to see the test executions, we have a toggle on the top that will allow you to filter that out in order for you to have a more concise vision of everything that's happening. So it's easy for you to see the defects associated with the tests and the user story covered by the tests. And you can easily go back and forth and trace where this issue is coming from and understand, for instance, where is this bug coming from. As on the other reports, we have the ability also to apply some filters. So exactly the same ones as we have on the other reports that are applied up there. And of course, all of these reports, and you can also filter out with that options on the top. If you want to see, for instance, all the not okay and focus only on that, you can also do so straight from the report. And of course, all of these reports are out of the box, but sometimes they are not that useful for teams. So what we did is also made this reports available in the form of gadgets for you to build your own dashboard. And a dashboard is not more than just a customized way of looking at different information that you can gather. And we have all of these reports that I talked to you about in form of gadgets for you to build your own customizable dashboard for your team in order for you to have the most valuable information present on the same place for all of the team to consult and see and have the better information possible to take the best decision possible regarding the project. So either be coverage, executions, coverage, requirements coverage, execution, test execution lists, and all of that is all present in here. So overall, this is the requirements that we have available, also available as gadgets on our side for you to build your own customizable dashboards. And I believe that's it from my side on the demo. So just to finalize, I don't want to take you much time, but I believe we have already out of it. Do you want to add anything, or are you going to jump straight to questions?
I did not. I was on mute when I was talking a second ago, so thanks for covering. No, we're gonna jump. I don't know if there's anything else to add. We've got quite a few questions in the Q&A, so let's just delve into those. I did go ahead. There were some answered already right off the bat early. So some of the general questions were: is the webinar going to be sent? The video going to be sent out later? Yes, you'll have access to the webinar later. Is this available with either Xray by itself or Katalon by itself? And the answer to both those questions is yes. I replied, you can go to getxray.app and you can go look into that. It's also available on the Atlassian Marketplace directly, or in Katalon is available separately as well. And there'll be links at the end of this video you can go to, so in the call to actions, we'll cover those as well. But you don't need to have Katalon to do what Xray is doing. You don't need to do Xray to see what what Katalon does today. They're there to work integrated to meet two different needs within your quality processes. I think that's it for the easy low hanging fruit ones that was going out there. The last answer is we do have standalone versions of some of our products that some of our customers use that were our first releases for this integration with Xray. Yes, the Katalon platform, aka Katalon TestOps, is required. This integration is working through it, and it is doing the passing and the merging of data across the two tools. So if you're using Studio or KRE, you will have to have TestOps, the full platform, in order to go ahead and leverage this integration. With that, let me go through a couple others. Are there any? I've noticed that you just answered a couple of the questions. So, for example, the question one is: do you want to delve into that answer you gave for why are they in progress status still, even though they were run? You're on
Yeah,
mute.
sure.
There you
So a question I assume from Giuseppe. Why are they in progress status even though they will run? So you were talking about the statuses of test cases and Xray shown. Even though the test rate has passed, they were still shown as being in progress. So the idea for Katalon is that we do encourage best practices and try to frame a certain workflow to present to users, but at the same time, we want flexibility and extensibility. So for that reason, when we observe that, okay, this team, as soon as they have a passing test, they will close the ticket, they will close the test, all right? That's good. But for another team, they may want to do another validation route. They may have some additional protocol or procedures to follow after that before they can close the test case on Jira. So that's why we want to try to accommodate for all different workflows. So we leave it as we leave the status of the test case itself alone. We don't touch it. And when people want to like enforce a certain kind of workflow for their project, we would encourage them to say, hey, we can have you create an automation rule on Jira on the project. And with the automation rule, you can say, okay, if the test has data coming in, if the data is passing, then please close the ticket. All right, so that's something that users can do and set up in their own Jira project. So we don't have to kind of like enforce a single workflow on everyone, on every single user that we have. So that's why we leave that part out of the integration.
Okay. From Scott Sinopoli, I apologize if I mispronounced that name. He said, my understanding is that for an automated test to be reported on in Xray, that an Xray manual test needs to be created ahead of time. My team is trying to reduce the amount of time spent doing the manual work, such as writing test cases, and would like somehow to report on the automation that possibly pulls in tags written in the automation and displayed in the Xray report. Is something like this possible?
You want to
Yeah,
go?
this is probably something that
yeah.
Yeah, this is probably something that Cristiano and I both have to think about a little bit, right?
Okay.
I don't know if
we will.
I think it's
Sorry,
not out. Yeah, sorry. I think it's not yet out of the box. It's something we have been discussing about this dependency of having a manual test, and probably we will discuss it further. But one of the things that are possible through the Xray APIs is exactly that. So reporting the results and the automatic creation of the tests on the Xray side. So it's a matter of adding this possibility onto Katalon.
Yeah, I think obviously advanced users can set up their own kind of workflow on CI/CDs or whatever, where they use both the Katalon APIs and Xray APIs to accomplish this. But at the same time, I would say everything similar to every single feature on the Katalon platform, we continuously improve on what we have built. So what you see here is not going to be the final version, right? So if you think that this is something important, yeah, we definitely take that and then consider that in our next review of the feature.
Awesome. Thank you. If a test from the Kubernetes, if a test is executed multiple times, will that reflect in that single execution, or will additional executions be created on the test plane?
Yep. All right. So if there are multiples, if a test is duplicated multiple times in a single execution, whether maybe you add them more than once in a test suite, or you run it with different environments, then it will be pushed to the same execution. But if you run it different times, like for example, today you run that test, tomorrow you run it again, then it would be pushed to a different execution.
Yeah. because the match between the test runs on Katalon will match test execution on Xray. So if you have different test runs on Katalon, you will have different test execution on Xray also.
Yep.
All right. Let me see. How does the tool from Value Hub, how does the tool determine release readiness, and can, whoop, this just slid on me. How does the tool determine release readiness, and can that be customized? The short answer is that we integrate in this particular part with Jira and create a relationship between, or the user creates relationships between the requirements and the tests, and that's where we that's where we track whether or not there's release readiness. On, I know you want to add to that though.
Yeah, for sure. So generally, it's a very simple percentage, right? But we are looking at the planning module on the platform, and we are thinking, okay, this is totally something that we can kind of customize to every single customer, right? And we are thinking about the fact that people need to plan tests strategically. So this is going to be part of that enhancement that we will do in the future.
Awesome, thank you. Let me see here. There are a lot of questions. I'm trying to jump to the ones that are relevant to directly to both tools because we'll answer those here. How can we map, Kaval Shah, how can we map 10 test cases which are written in a single scripts using TestOps and Xray integration?
Yes, so a single script will still result in just one file. So if it still result in one file on TestOps, you still see one test case on TestOps, then yeah, you can only do one mapping to Xray. But if it shows as 10 different test cases on TestOps, then you can link them 10 different times to different Xray tests.
Awesome. Shashank Yoshi, we are running scripts using Jenkins, very, very common. So can the output be fed to Xray? Unfortunately for that, as I mentioned earlier, this integration is running through our platform, but also known as our TestOps tool. And so in order to do this integration, you'll have to be using TestOps. Now, you can't integrate those calls so that they're so that TestOps is managing the execution, and you can trigger those from Jenkins if you'd like. So you can still have the same general functionality, but instead you would be, instead of calling the individual test cases or test suites directly from Jenkins, you would be telling Jenkins to talk to TestOps to manage that execution. Now that enables a whole bunch of other stuff, capabilities, not to mention the automated reporting that's happening behind the scenes that enables all of this integration. So just something for you to consider. Please feel free to visit Katalon.com and reach out to us directly with any questions if you want to delve into that a little bit more. On anything else that you want to add on to that one?
No, that's a perfect answer in my book.
I win. That's it. That's I get a gold star. Okay, let me scroll through these again real quick. I think that is most of all the good ones. Oh, here's another one. Can you use Xray exploratory app and link results to Katalon? That's a good question.
So I don't think we have. Yeah, sorry, Han. Had some information that you had the other one. So the exploratory app is something that is deeply integrated with Xray. Of course, you can use it without Jira. It's an independent app, but you'll take all of the benefits if you use it integrated with Xray. But for now, the way that it works, it pushes the results of the exploratory app into Xray, into a test case, into Jira. So for now, I don't believe we have an integration like that directly of the Xray exploratory app through Katalon, through Xray, but it's something that we may think about. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Right now, Katalon supports linking defects, requirements, and Xray tests. to the entities on the platform. So yeah, we haven't supported the Xray exploratory app yet.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. Where it's one of the anonymous ones. I was trying to read the name. Does this integration allow for real-time test execution and results reporting? Can I monitor the progress of test runs and view test results in real time? It's
Right. Yeah. So we may need more context from you as to like where you want to view these things, because for example, on Katalon, you can view everything in real time. So if you trigger a test run on Katalon, you go to the test run, you can see it running in real time, and the result will appear when they are done, and all of that. But from Xray side, we will only see the result after it has completed running.
Yeah. From the Xray side, we are receiving the results after the fact that the tests are executed. Of course, there are ways of having a more live feed of the results, but it's all things that needs to be implemented on the side that is calling Xray. But the purpose of Xray is not that much following that minutiously all of the tests and how they are going, because I believe that kind of work and deep analysis is better suited for tools like Katalon that are there exactly to execute, to deep dive on those, and to help you run all of those test cases. But once you have all of that defined, you can then ship the results back to have an overview of the results.
All right. We are over time, so I will. I'm going to cut us off here. There were some remaining questions that were very specific as to views or kind of end-to-end views from an entire testing process through Xray into Katalon. So for those, I would ask you to reach back out to Katalon or Xray, whoever you have the relationship with, and say you'd like to see a little bit more. You can schedule a demo through the normal route. And then beyond that, feel free to reach out to us for questions. But in the interest of time, we would like to wrap this up just to save and move on to the end. I'm going backwards. Why is this going backwards? So how to carry on? Because I just mentioned you should reach back out to us. Katalon.com or getxray.app are the websites to go to start generating those requests. You can find us on LinkedIn to carry on a more natural conversation one-on-one with ourselves. You can find myself, Armando Wershing, Anchu, Cristiano. Feel free to ping us on LinkedIn. We're happy to try and get you connected with the right people to get you some of the detailed questions and answers you're looking for. And beyond that, you can try both tools for free. Katalon has a free platform that is free to use that allows small teams or those getting with automation to get started. And of course, Xray is part of the Atlassian, is on the Atlassian marketplace and is part of that ecosystem. So you have access to a whole bunch of other capabilities as well. And that reach out to Xray to find out more about their test management capabilities and all their other tools. With that said, I'd like to thank I'd like to thank Cristiano for your time today. And I'd like to thank all those folks behind the scenes that were helping us set up this webinar, and you yourselves. Thank you very much for spending time with us today to learn about these tools. We hope to hear from you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.